Okay, guys, we've got only a few more days left of this year, and it's been a horrible one. As you know, Donald Trump's been president, and the richest people in the United States have supported him and taken over a lot of money. I understand today that Amazon and people like some of the big drug companies and Tesla, they're getting about $67 billion this year in the wonderful tax bill that Donald Trump, I mean, wunderbar for Trump and his cronies, tax bill. They give $87 billion out to companies that for things that they already invested in 2022. Now, that means they're giving presents for things that they spent money on. That means they're taking our tax money and they're giving it to them for money that they've already spent, with the idea that they're going to invest in America. And you know how that's all worked out the last 100 years, at least since the 1970s, when Republican Ronnie said he would help America. I remember how that was in the early 1980s. We were already in a depression, and Trump's just put us in one. And we'll expect another 4 or 5 years of terrible jobs ratings until the Trump's dead or gone or whatever. And then whoever's in charge after that will get all this glory. And if the fascist party, aka the GOP, continues on their reigns, they might be bouncing back into the government by that time. Who knows? This is the way it works in America. But I was listening to a show last night on the radio, and it made it pretty clear to me, we can't wait that long. We can't put up with this. We're going to have to take back our country from fascism before that bounce back effect takes place, and people forget that these richest people in America took all our money and refused to give us any money in this winter of 2025, 2026. I can see the long lines still at the churches as people don't have any money to pay for things. I can see a lot of businesses closed in Kansas City here, even as the Olympics are coming on. People just can't afford the seed money. Probably some people from out of the country or out of the state will be the ones who have to invest as the World Cup comes to Kansas City. In any case, I'm not happy, and I think you shouldn't be either. We're going to remember, and even before that, in 2026, we're going to destroy this fascist regime. We're going to destroy it by getting out and voting. And if the state governor of the Missouri fights us, we're still going to vote, and we're going to elect Democrats all across the state. That's the only way to do it. Guys, you go out, knock on doors. Young people, you run for office. Old people run for office. Whoever can dream dreams, run for office and fix this mess that the richest people in America have brought us. It's time we got a real democratic socialist economy. Remember that capitalism is the enemy of democracy. They can work alongside each other. But once the capitalism has the overarching hand, like we're in, we're up, what kind of creek. We can't just accept the fact, and we shouldn't accept the fact, that there was the biggest tax giveaway in history again this year under the Trump regime, and that many of the poor people are suffering for it. The economy's a mess. It will only, by running a deflation of our dollar against all other currency, will it help us eventually get back on track in a few years. They want us to suffer in the meantime because they don't really care about us. That deflation under Trump and Carter led to 6 years of strong suffering. That was when I was graduating from college. There wasn't much hope. A lot of people didn't have hope. A lot of people like me went abroad to work. Yes, went abroad. And red states, people had to leave the states in groves in droves and to get out of them, like Kansas and even Missouri, because there wasn't jobs. They sign up for the military. They sign up. I'm not saying the military is bad. I'm just saying that their choices are limited. And that's the way it was under Ronald Reagan. And this is what Trump and his cronies are doing, only worse. They're going to put a complete fascist cap on a roof where Ronald Reagan didn't do it. But Donald Trump is leaving it with a fascist tone. According to some people, fascists don't ever give up unless you fight them. It didn't happen with Hitler. It didn't happen with Mussolini. They had to fight for him. In cases of Ferdinand Marcos, the people had to march. In the case of people in Latin America, usually people had to march. And even in places like Franco's Spain, Franco never gave up. He just held on to power for 30-some years before he passed away. And it took a good democratic revolt afterwards to end that. The same thing for Salazar in Portugal. These guys just kept their country backwards for decades. And is that what we really want, to have our country continue to be backwards for decades at a time when we should be leading the world and fighting climate issues that are really being ignored under this regime? We don't want to be 40, 50 years behind. I know that's what Israel probably would like us to do. I'm talking about Zionist Israel. God's Israel is a different case. We won't get into that today. But make it clear to your friends and neighbors. Fascists don't give up their power unless somebody fights them. And we've got to fight them hard. So if that means organizing, if that means voting, if that means marching on Washington, if that means marching on Mar-a-Lago, if that means marching on ICE centers en masse and taking the weapons away from ICE agents and firing them for good, if that means electing good social democratic leaders who really want to serve the people. When have you heard of a social democratic leader not wanting to serve the people? Huh? Look at what's happening in New York. The voters there are smart and have elected somebody. And Ocasio-Cortez, up in New York also is fighting for people in Washington, D.C. Bernie Sanders is a good social democrat. You shouldn't be afraid of voting for a social democrat either. I'm a social democrat. I'm Kevin Stoda. I'm willing to stand for everything that they are standing for, including freezing rent prices in Kansas City or in other parts of the country, Missouri, and even willing to ask that the rich people, demand that the rich people in this country and the world pay their fair share and don't just take all our money and blow it on things that are just not worth anything compared to the hearts and souls of people who work hard for them and their country. Okay? We need a government that's supportive of unions. We need a government that doesn't give up when it's facing problems and doesn't say, oh, we can't solve that problem, so we're going to just throw our money to the wealthiest people and pray that they have a drip-down capitalism that helps us. Stop this stupidness that I've seen running America since the 1980s. You can't deny anymore that the standard of living hasn't been stagnant for decade after decade after decade after decade after decade, using the triple-down economics of Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, other cronies in Washington who call themselves GOP, all right, or Clinton-esque neoliberals. It just doesn't work. It doesn't help us in the medium or long term. It doesn't help us in the short term. We need people given jobs. We need to have more people in this country coming in and helping us. If we aren't going to have enough doctors and nurses, we're going to have to bring them in. If we can raise them up and get them educated, and that means education people. You don't just deny the facts of life, how babies are made, how people make mistakes, how we can fix things. Okay, we don't have to accept the way things are. Just this, we'll support the baby in the until it's born and then not take care of it. God doesn't expect us to do that. God wants us to do better. Let's demand that now and every year. I want young people and old people who think alike to march with me on Washington next year in 2026, and I want them to run for office. I'm running for both the presidency in 2028 and 2026. I'm running for the representative here in Missouri for my district, and I could run for governor too in a few years. And if any of these senators can be impeached, we'll run even earlier for them. That doesn't mean I have to be elected, but it means that you have to consider that there is a lot to be said for not sitting on your hands at a time like this. All right. I wish you the best, America. And you don't give up.